None of them. None of them reached out to me 7 years ago when I opened up. And so I guess I feel comfortable saying this because I wish to God that it was different for them. I honestly, 110%, completely true and authentic, wish that their website, 3 blocks down the street from me, looked exactly like mine and they kicked ass at seeing kids. I wish they had the level of clinical certainty and skill that I do. I wish they had the level of communication and clarity in pediatric chiropractic than I do, because we could do a hell of a lot more good together than I'm doing on my own. I'm not afraid of competition, and you shouldn't be afraid. If we see 3.4% of the population, get out your iPhone, take 100 minus 3.4, that's how many people can still come into your office, all right? If you're not successful, you got a problem. Now carry that to kids. We see less than 1% of the population of kids. McDonald's, Target, Coca-Cola, Apple would kill for that open market share. All right? So stop buying into the BS excuses that people who have not succeeded, people who are not succeeding, are telling you. One of the simplest, most successful things you can do in your life, again, there's a do and there's a don't do. Do hang out with only people who are successful. Okay? If you got friends in this school who bitch and moan and complain and say that they're not going to make it and it's going to be so hard and their dad's a chiropractor and he's struggling or their uncle is or their chiropractor is, guess what that dude is not anymore? Your friend. Okay? If you've got another dude over here who is kicking ass, who has, I met a guy, who's that freaking dude that, like, he steamrolled me. You know, he texted me, he's like meeting with a neurosurgeon right now, he's like, yeah, we want about like 10 licenses and 10 clinics up here. Jared Bruno. He's like, hell yeah, dude, we can talk. Seriously. That's a guy who made an impression on me, okay? I've got a short window in here at Life University before I fly out tomorrow, okay? And I'm not saying this to say it's my freaking ego or my arrogance. I don't care at all. I'm a giver like there isn't a giver, but I also am now an efficient giver. And I get to my family and I get to what I do first. I'm going to spend some time with that dude before I leave because he came out, stood out to me, and impressed me. He's a guy who's going to get shit done, okay? Now we're getting to it, I know. No, but I'm intrigued in learning more about him because he's unique, okay? That's just part of it, okay? And that's what you've got to do because we have the opportunity to do that. And when you do that, I can't tell you how freaking fun it is. By the way, good looking people, isn't it? It's a hot wife. No idea what she's doing. Actually, I do. Having kids is a little bit stressful. And again, I don't want to say, actually, I'm going to put it differently. I don't like to use the word work in the context that most people do. I don't like to use the word busy in the context that most people do. I don't like to use the word stress in the context that most people do. I love all my work. I work a shitload. I'm busy as can be, and I have a whole bunch of kids. All right? And they're young, and they're crazy, and they're awesome, and they're fun. But what I would tell you, my joke with this is, but it's busy, and it may cause your HRV to shift slightly towards the sympathetic side. The more kids you have, and the more businesses you run, and the more airplanes you get on. So, having a damn good neurologically tuned chiropractor is a distinct advantage to GSD, getting things done, getting stuff done. My wife, 10 years ago now, when I was chubby, out of shape, couldn't communicate chiropractic, had a really bad curly hair that I had that I wore backwards all the time, like a dirty, nasty Clemson hat, she knew what she was doing. She chose me because she wanted to have 4 kids, she wanted to have them young, and I think she knew how powerful chiropractic was as an advantage to raising kids. It isn't my looks, it's not my humor, it's certainly not how I dress. She just wanted to marry a chiropractor. She's a hell of a Celtic woman. And she's the most amazing chiropractor spouse on the planet. She's the genius and the work behind all the stuff we do with PwC, with Epic Peak, with all of it. Alright, so here's the deal, guys. This one, for the sake of time, you're going to have to invite me back. Or we will Skype it. Literally, if you can't tell, based upon how I do with time per slide, we could do an entire, since I have more stuff on this one, we could do an entire Skype call. Maybe we'll get it later on this quarter or next call. I'll literally pull this slide up and put it on. You don't have to see my bad haircut and old face. We'll just put this slide up and I'll literally go through this with you guys. Sorry, Clint? Fabulous. Alright, well what I wanted to, this is one that I put in here on the plate because I think, here's how I think. What I know is that when I was a student, and then honestly even my first couple of years of chiropractic, is I was super passionate. I wanted to learn. I still am. I pray to God every single day in my prayers that He keeps this passion for learning and getting better in me, and I always want to be that way. But where I'm going with this is, I was very easily confused and distracted when I was a student, and then also early on in practice. And specifically, I was confused and distracted and tried many different things into the sort of practice model and practice type that I wanted to do. See, when I got my training, I knew I wanted to see kids, and I knew that I liked wellness. Like I already kind of shared the story with you about the 2 horses in one stall. So I knew the 2 general concepts of what I wanted to do, but then there's a difference in that word that I talked about, the application of them, the style, the format, the functionality of them, right? Form creates function, and function, right, is all tied together to every level of success or health. Well, your practice is the same way. So what I wanted to teach you tonight, spend maybe 5-10 minutes on, and then I'm going to wrap up and leave time for questions too. And again, I'll stay for as long as it takes. Is I am going to show you literally step by step how my practice runs. What I call dress code of my practice. And I'm not going to show you that because I'm saying it's the only way to do it. I'm not going to do that because I'm saying it's exactly what you have to do. I'm not going to say that because it's the best in the world and it's so great and it's so wonderful. I'm going to show you this because I know that it works, and because when I was in your shoes, I would have killed for somebody to say, look dude, here's this, here's where you buy your tires, here's where you buy your brakes, here's the engine you want, here's the paint color you want, here's all this sort of stuff. Once I had my focus, if somebody could have filled in those gaps for me, it would have been incredible, because the training that I went through was this. Every single month, I went to another seminar, taught by another instructor, who was in the same general concept of what I wanted to do, but they did it in a dozen, 15, 18 different ways. Meaning, I would go 1 month, spend a weekend learning about this information, and then on Saturday and Sunday, they would be going through and they'd say, well, this is how I do it in my practice, and this is how we do our plans, and this is how we do this, and this is the technology that we use, and this is the company that we use for this. And I would go home on Sunday night, and on Monday, and I'm surprised my wife stayed married to me, because I'd be like, hey, guess what? Everything we were doing, we got to do it different now, because this guy at this weekend seminar, he had a better idea. So I'm going to change that, and I'm going to change that. So for 2, 3, 4 years, I was constantly changing everything, okay? What I'm telling you is, what is the fastest way to go forward? Straight, right? Not side to side, not curve to curve, not hit the guardrail, bounce back, hit the other guardrail, bounce back, and never spend any time in the middle. So what I'm saying is in 7 years, I've paid a lot of ignorance tax in time, money, and distraction, and changing up my practice. And if I'd have known this stuff, this dress code 7 years ago, I'm in a good place to practice. We're doing a lot of good. We're serving a lot of kids. We're helping a lot of people. We're living a great life. But I could be way further down the road if I'd have just had a more center lane point to go through that. So what that looks like is, first, my entire practice is powered by Epic. I'm sure most of you guys probably know that I am a partner with Dr. David Jackson in Epic Pediatrics. I'm not here to tell you about Epic Pediatrics tonight. I'm here, if you want to ask questions afterwards, ask questions afterwards. What I'm telling you, it's a badass, pointed, directed, stay in your lane, chiropractic infused, nothing else, pediatrics training program. You can do it from your underwear and your iPad, okay? And it has one direction, one focus, one purpose, and no distractibility, and a whole lot of uniqueness and certainty steeped into it. I also run a practice that is completely geared in the Epic brand. The beautiful thing, and the whole concept of teacher learns the most, is the most true thing in the world. When I got partnered with Dr. David Jackson to build Epic Pediatrics, because I was this science guy, I was this interp guy, I was this clinical guy who was really good at taking care of kids, and I was those things before. I just had a whole lot of other things holding me back, subluxating and distracting me. Is he cleaned up all of my subluxations in my practice. We went from very insurance dependent to straight cash. We went from running a very highly involved 14 employees, ridiculously high overhead, not just in time, but in my Headspace wellness program in my office. Got rid of that, got in our lane, and found other people that could do that good for our patients when we needed them. So our entire practice, you kind of hear the powered by Intel thing with computers. That is literally how I think your chiropractic. I think this brand of chiropractic, if you want to see kids and family, nobody knows how to put that brand in every fiber of your practice, every fiber of you, like Epic does, okay? Epic Peds, Epic Practice, Epic Accelerators. Accelerators is a coaching program. It's literally freaking revolutionized my practice. It's coming into that world is the greatest thing that's happened in my practice. It gives you all of it. Number 2, and again, I was thinking this is usually one of the FAQs afterwards, so we'll maybe say that one. about cash versus insurance and that sort of stuff. I can tell you, 6 years of being very heavily insurance dependent. The state of Illinois is one of the, people say, oh, you're in Illinois, you have it so lucky, the insurance is so great there. That's like saying, the best dressed devil, right? Yeah, comparatively to others, but you know what? That just means you get hooked on the teeth a little bit more, quite honestly, okay? It's harder to get off of it. And even for me, being a pediatric specialist, I had a hard time getting off it. Once I did, good night. But what going cash does, you got to have this to do it. You certainly got to have clarity, because it's a heck of a lot easier for people to pay for one service in your office than 16 different services. And I will tell you this, if you want to use a system, talk about software that has efficiency, communication, and clarity to it. Miles Bodson, this dude ran a beautiful family pediatric-based cash practice in San Diego for many years, and then built the software program, cashpractice.com. If you know nothing of it, write it down and check it out. Then the second one, again, technology, guys. Obviously, we're talking about that sucker, the CLA substation. I x-ray the majority of my adult patients. I rarely x-ray any pediatric patients, and I'm even talking most of the teenagers. Because of the level of certainty and clarity about the vertebral subluxation complex that I get from those scans, I'm obsessed with knowing details. I am a detailed CSI sort of chiropractic analyzer. I think the most fun part of our job is honestly the interpretation and the analysis. The adjustment's just the end of the rainbow, right? It's just at the end of the road. That's just the finishing piece of it. You can't deliver that the way you're supposed to if you didn't do all the work appropriately on the front end. And that's what comes alive for me, is the CLA substation. To take this, and this is a big part, you'll see it tomorrow, so you can make it perfect on lecture. This isn't just what we use in our office. We've branded this in our community. People know also that when they come into our office, they know that we are about chiropractic. They know that we see a ton of kids. They know that we're the best out there when it comes to autism, ADHD, pediatrics, and they know that they're going to get scanned. They know that we are a high-tech, high-touch, high-certainty level of office, okay? If my patients, that's what happens in practice, if they fall off the wagon for 3 months and they haven't been in for 3 months, I don't care if I've been taking care of them for 6 years and they broke their leg and couldn't leave their house for 3 months. When they come back in, they're getting scanned, okay? The technology, the patterns, the analysis is obsessed with what we do. And ChiroTouch, you want to talk about another mega chiropractic company that is very, very, very tied in. If you're liking what I'm talking about tonight, you'll like the way that system operates. I had another one prior to ChiroTouch. Again, I won't say the name, it's not here or there, there's many of them. But you want to talk about ignorance tax and wasted money? Good gosh. Again, if you want to know which one that is, that's a quick email. I can fire that one back. It's 2 words. Shoot me a message and I'll tell you again, the don't do and then the do. So I'll tell you that's the don't do if you want to know, but that is the one you do want to do. And then this is another one. This is actually stuff that, again, we created, well-adjusted product. The other issue I had 7 years ago when I spent all this money all this time, I built this beautiful freaking office. I love my office. Still 7 years going into it, especially since we remodeled it. You've got to build a place that you love going into. And I love this office. But my issue was, I opened up practice, wanted to see a bunch of kids, wanted to do it in a wellness-oriented sort of way, in a subluxation-centered way by all means. And all the posters and handouts out there, they were like 1980, DK. Well, I don't think that infant's colic is because he's got stage 3 C5 degeneration, so that doesn't really do me any good. So I'm a little bit of a do-it-yourselfer, at least when it comes to chiropractic. So we made our own posters, made our own handouts, and they're subluxation center and pediatric center. And that's how we communicate. That's what's on our walls, and that's what's through there. But what I'm telling you guys is what this all wraps through is the words I want to kind of make come alive for you is efficiency and simplicity. Okay? I'm telling you, if you can find your way to an efficient, simple, profitable practice, you will have the time of your life in chiropractic practice. You will not need to see patients 40 hours a week. You will not need to spend every single weekend screening and every single night doing a dinner with the talk and every single magazine ad and all these other sort of things. When you have a practice that has certainty, clarity, communication, efficiency, simplicity, when it's easy for your community to know what you do, when it's easy for them to understand how you do it, And when it's easy for them to decide whether they're going to pay for it or not pay for it, and there's no middleman in between to tell them what they do pay and don't pay, or what they get and what they don't get, meaning an insurance company, you have a heck of a lot of success in what you do. You have to build a practice that is efficient. Because the last point is what I want to share with you guys tonight, is I want you to also be obsessed with building a hell of a good life. See, this is the stuff, a little bit shorter on time than the web plan, but this is the stuff that not a lot of people, especially with students or those sort of things, that they're not comfortable of talking about. You're going to have people, I know you do, okay? I'm very tuned into this profession, especially now that I do this Perfect Storm and Epic and the WAP stuff, and that I'm very tuned in. One of my favorite quotes, you'll see it come live tomorrow in the Perfect Storm workshop, it's a lifting quote. Not the growth versus protection one is the root of what we do too, but the function of the nervous system is to perceive the environment and coordinate the behavior of all other cells. I actually think that neurological quote and description comes alive to what this last point I want to make with you guys tonight, and then I'll take some questions. What behavior is output, right? So what that statement, if you're really kind of read between the lines, what it's talking about is cause and effect, the perception, whatever the nervous system is reading, and then coordinates, creates the effect, which is the behavior, and it's about adaptability. So what you need to do in your chiropractic practice is you need to be able to perceive what the hell is going on in our world, what the hell is going on in our healthcare system, what is going on in public perception, what is going on in chiropractic. And I'm pretty darn tuned into that. I'm a guy who is very, very perceptive, because the more I can perceive, the more I can adapt and coordinate, the more I can alter my behaviors and have the success that I want. What I'm telling you, where I'm going with this is, the people who come to this school, the people who do 2-hour presentations like I'm doing tonight, and tell you that you can't make it, tell you that you have to accept insurance, but what the ones I really take exception to, honestly, and again, I want to say this, I'm not saying I'm here to tell you what you have to do. I'm not saying if that's what you want to do it. But what I'm saying is the people that tell you that you have to do it out of service, that you have to work 70 hours, 80 hours, 90 hours, that you have to screen, you have to do dinner with the doc, you have to give away your exams, you have to cheapen this, that you have to do this, you have to do this, that you have to work 100 hours a week, busting your ass for years and years and years and years in the service of chiropractic and in the service of humanity, because love and light is the way to be, because that's what you have to do to make it, because otherwise there's no other way. They are full of shit. Okay? Because what I'm telling you is I haven't worked a Friday in my life. What I'm telling you is I've done 2 screenings in my life. What I'm telling you is that I am a damn good, and I'm passionate about it, so much so that this is not BS, and this is honestly even, this isn't about that. That isn't about the 90 hours a week, 100 new patients a month, because you have 100 new patients a month leaving at your back door, so you have to have 100 new come in the front door. That's the practice model that is dominant in chiropractic right now. And it's not about that being wrong. I'm not honestly even trying to get into judgment of that. People can do whatever the hell they want to do. What I'm talking about is you have a potential to do something. You have a potential to do a lot more good, and you have a potential to have a lot more good come to you if you do it in the right way. See, I've had that, and I'm so passionate about being a damn good pediatric chiropractor for my community. I'm really passionate about being a leader for this profession, because I think if I can do a damn good job, then I can teach others to do a damn good job, and they can help see a lot more kids collectively than I can with my 2 hands Monday through Thursday at 411 Congress Parkway, Suite C. But what really ties this all together, what's really different about number 1 up there, what we really get, what we really teach, what we really know how to do, is to be a damn good husband and dad first. See, I'm a great pediatric chiropractor, guys, and this isn't about my freaking ego, this isn't about any of that. I'm one of the best on the planet, and I'll always work. I hope each of you leave here tonight and make it your commitment and your focus to become the best damn pediatric chiropractor on the planet. Give me competition. Push me. Make me better. Let me make you better. But I will tell you, I'll never be near as good a pediatric chiropractor as I am a dad and a husband. I'll never enjoy chiropractic practice as much as I enjoy my life that I get to live as a result of being a chiropractor. And I know for some of you this may be a little bit, Dr. Phil-ish, out there, it's all about, but I'm being really freaking true with this. Don't spend all your time and your money not only in the walls of this school, but then busting your ass when you're getting out. I am not here. I'm telling you, there's a way to have great success, and I'm telling you, you can do it Monday through Thursday, and I'm telling you, you can do it without cheapening it. I'm telling you, you can do it without doing it at Walmart every single weekend, and fear care and scare care and BS and cheapening it. But I'm not telling you, what I'm not trying to say by saying that is it isn't hard work. It's a hell of a lot of hard work. But I love that hard work, because the benefits of that hard work are getting to live an epic life. And if you signed up for this, not to just do a lot of good as chiropractic, but if you signed up for this to really do a damn good life, and build a damn good life for yourself, especially if you're married, you have kids, or you're planning on doing that one day, I would tell you, man, there's a whole lot of chiropractors who have big clinics, who have big presence in this profession. They don't have the presence that they should have with their spouse or with their kids. That will never be sacrificed in my life. I work tirelessly to keep that in balance. And you can really, again, I know that I'm wrapping this up with a little bit of a cheesy big thing in a sense, but you really can have it all, and it's not a bunch of crap. It's not something that you can have overnight. It's not something that you don't need to learn, get educated, get certain, get trained, practice on, and keep getting better and better and better at, but it's something that you can certainly kick ass with. So, I'll show you the last slide, and then I'll take some questions, because we are officially almost at time. All right, so what to do? So if you weren't paying attention, yeah. All right, here's 3 simple steps, all right? Number 1, choose your focus. If you're here, hopefully that means because you want to see kids. And if that's your focus, I will tell you that is the most easy, fast, wonderful, impactful place to have success, because there's no competition. You want to be a wellness chiropractor? I think that's awesome. You are competing against med spas, well spas, and my next door neighbor who sells Nutrimetrics and is a transmission mechanic who also has a business card that says he's a wellness expert. He's a hell of a nice guy, and he actually knows a lot about wellness. This is what's called the hedgehog method. Actually, he's my old next door neighbor, sorry too. But hedgehog method, if you have not read another book to read, besides that up here, Jim, it's an old one. Sometimes people get into these business books and they're like, well, that's had millions and millions of guys. Like people overthink it, like, oh, it's sold so many copies, it must be cheesy. And no, if it sold a hell of a lot of copies, it probably means it's good, all right? So the Good to Great by Jim Collins, learn about this thing called the hedgehog concept. What it says is what you should choose to do, what your focus should be, is whatever you are most passionate about, whatever you can become the best in the world at, and you got to run a business, ladies and gentlemen, whatever the hell is most profitable. You want to know what the most profitable thing you can do in a chiropractic practice is? Adjust. Exam, adjust. Exam, adjust. Okay? You want to sell fish oil? And somebody says, well, you can buy this in bulk. Practical tip. You can buy a case of these fish oil bottles in bulk for $30, and then we suggest you sell them at $60, and you go, awesome, I made $30. Guess what? Your overhead isn't just on buying that bottle. There needs to be a practice that represents the sale of that bottle. And guess what the average overhead in a chiropractic practice is? North of 50%. So let's say it's 60%. So that overhead is about, $36, all right, on every $60 of service you do in your practice. So you paid $30 for the bottle of fish oil. Your overhead to move it through your practice was $36, and you sold it for $60. How much money did you make? -6. You did. Ignorance tax, ladies and gentlemen. I did that for a long period of time. And you know why I was able to get away with it and still actually live a pretty good life and have a pretty good practice? Because I made so damn much money making adjustments that it was just coming through and I didn't even know how easy it was. It's a hell of a lot of fun when you get to that point, but that's all you're worried about doing. So figure out your hedgehog. And I guess in this context though, is it pediatrics, is it sports, is it musculoskeletal? Do you love back pain? Do you love assholes? Fine! Become the best in the world at taking care of assholes, alright? Make your practice profitable. Tell everybody in your community you're the best at it. Stand apart. Be unique. Be remarkable at taking care of assholes, alright? And the way, once you get your focus, become the best in the freaking world at it. See, that's part of the hedgehog concept that takes work. You can't just choose. If you go to your town and you say, I'm a pediatric chiropractor, and you don't know your head from your ass when it comes to adjusting kids, you're a sellout, okay? You're inauthentic, you're fake confident, and it won't work for you. Just because somebody said, do that and they'll remember you and you'll see more kids. That's crap. It won't work and you'll sully the whole thing just like chiropractic got sullied. So get educated. That number's on the screen. I want to say 2 seconds about it. This number, if you want to get in more information about pediatrics, Caleb knows this. This is my passion, taking care of students. If I'm going to leave my family to go do some things within chiropractic, I love coming to schools. I love students. We had a plan last year. We were talking on it. In 2014, and we have a whole lot of the back end actually already built to this really kick-ass idea of what we're going to call Club Epic Pediatrics. It's going to be, again, we're a little bit forward thinking. And when I say we, I mean Jackson. I'm kind of an idiot with that stuff. All right? And it's the iPhone, it's the iPad age. What we want to do is we're efficient, we're tying people too. We want to build a badass club with ongoing calls, webinars, access to us, access to me, access to my pediatric chiropractors who are killing it, where you don't have to meet in room P206 Tuesdays at 9:20. You can do it from your iPad. We can record it, you can have access to the community, you can be there. Where I'm going with that is we wanted to build that so badly in 2014. Some changes to Epic accelerators and some changes that had to happen in my practice when I gained clarity had to happen. I fired one of my associates the same month another one left. I went from 3 to me this summer. I'm an honest dude. I actually lied. I had to work Fridays this summer. And it sucked, and I earned it, and I brought it back to where it's at now. But where I'm going with this, in 2015, we are getting that done. My #1 GSD for this profession is to really create the most unique, incredible, impactful, actually make change pediatric clubs really within chiropractic. And because you got some badasses sitting right here that are doing things in this school, and you guys joining me tonight, Life and Palmer. Oh, I know. But they're 2.5 hours from me, so I went to school. And that Parker, yeah, they're not on the call phone. And then Parker and Sherman are awesome too. Hopefully the connection was at that time. You know? What do you say? But long story short, if you want to get engaged, this is a groovy thing. This text opt-in right now, tonight, in the next couple of weeks, probably the next couple of months, is mostly a dead end. Okay, we'll send you an email, say hi, thanks for joining us. So if you want to get into Epic Pediatrics and kind of stay tuned to what we're building, because we literally are going to bring it to you as students. If I'm going to spend time with my family, I'm pouring into students. Because I'd rather have you set a course for 35 years of success in the practice than find you when you're 35 years broken and try and, adjust your face for degenerated practice. Okay? Not what I do. I make Dr. Jackson do that part. All right? So text in the word student to 858-397-5370, and it'll come back and say, hey, you want to get more information, stay in tune. Avoid distraction. I had some fun with this with the plane. You can either do the hedgehog or you can do the squirrel. Anybody seen the movie Up, right? Where the dog runs after the squirrel all the time? Okay? That's what chiropractors do. They get into a good spot, or actually what they most commonly do is they get into something, they sign up for a program, they go with a coaching program, they go with a training program, they go with something, and they do it, they like it, they love it, they post it on Facebook, they're like, Tony's awesome, this is awesome, everybody's awesome. And then a year later, take another exit, take another exit, take another exit. They never get to that endpoint on the GPS coordinate because they don't even have an endpoint. That's focus. And they just keep taking different ones, okay? Choose one, stay on that freaking road, and accelerate all the way to it. And that literally is what I started. So I'll hang around until just after 8 o'clock. Questions?
Well, I was going to say, if I can say anything, guys, I've known Tony for 4 years, and he's been my doctor for 3.5. So when he talks about, what his practice has gone through over the last couple of years, I've seen it firsthand as a patient. I've been in the waiting room where all you see is a bunch of kids who are happy and excited and want to be there, and that's the reason why I'm here. Because that's the only time I've ever been in a doctor's waiting room where the patients are excited and they're happy. They're not sick. They don't look miserable. They're excited to be there. And then you'll hear some of the success stories. If you've seen the movie Doctor, and you've heard about Oliver, you've heard about Jeff and Julie Whitty's son, and just all the progress that's gone through there. That's why I'm here. So it's one thing when you go and see a speaker talk, and yeah, he can talk about his success, but I'm telling you, I've seen it. And I've seen the way the practice has changed, going to cash, changing the subluxations in his office. and it's worked really well. So there's a lot of validity behind what he's bringing to us because I've seen it, and it's awesome. It's epic.
Hey, so is your handlebar mustache.
Who makes you?
You should see my squat team, though. That's really my
It's all about the squat.
Anyway, please, if you guys got it tonight, I'm gonna do the perfect store tomorrow morning and rock it. But then I actually have a gigantic perfect store autism lecture in my community on Saturday, so I'm planning on to crank that up.
So besides the pre-bank collapse farmer connection bank thing, how do we start up?
That's a great question. You know, I don't have a magical answer for you, to be honest with you, brother, but I have been able to tune into a lot of our new epic pediatric doctors who are starting out. One of my interns, Nick Going, got started and is rocking. My brother-in-law got going. I will tell you this, and I've done a lot of thinking on it, because my brother-in-law graduated from here 2 years ago, and he kind of stumbled around and he even had a good set of cash on hand. What he had not done, unfortunately, was got his credit built up to a place where, you know, he had done that before. He had a great amount of cash on hand to get a down payment, and he had struggles getting the loan. And even tuned into some of the stuff we tune into people that know business, right, in different places. I think one great opportunity is not even necessarily, it depends on how you're wired. What we have just changed in our office, and part of it is due to the nature of the current climate of whether you can get started or not get started, is I had changed my office to where I'm obviously owner, clinic director. I literally purged and stole away from his practice in his town. I say it's like a fantasy football draft. If I had taken our 400 pediatric chiropractors and made first-round selections, you know, draft picks out of that from fantasy pediatric chiropractic, it's Ron Robinson, and I jacked him. He's a magical freaking adjuster. He's a wizard with science and philosophy, and I got him to sell his practice, and he's closing his house today, so it's in it. He can't back out now. And he's my chief clinical director. He's in charge of that, so he doesn't worry about practice. Then what we did is we hired a badass new graduate from Palmer, and again, I think medicine does things well. She's doing her residency with us. We know beyond any shadow of a doubt, she's done it 2 years. She's got dreams and aspirations. I don't even want to call them dreams. She's got a vision, a very pointed vision, to go back to Phoenix, build a badass pediatric chiropractic office. She literally wants to be the first NICU pediatric chiropractor at the Phoenix Children's Hospital. And this is a chick who's going to GFC. She's going to get that done. She knew that she needed the experience. She knew that she needed the cash. She knew that she needed my name and that experience on that to go to the bank later on in 2 years. So she didn't have the opportunity to do that. So she's going to do it in 2 years. So you could latch on to that. You could find, and we're building this within Epic. We're seeking, not just within Epic Pediatrics, and again, I know everybody can say this, but there is validity to this. We're changing things. We're just I'm sick and tired of kids being sick, and I'm sick and tired of chiropractors being sick, so that's why we're looking to make some changes in Epic in an authentic, aligned, congruent, subluxation-based way, where our offices would be open to our Epic Pediatric offices, our biggest badass offices. We're going to put the APP, once we build the student program, I'm going to have 3 to 5 mentors that are local to the region of each college that will be in here live with you guys, pouring into all the time, that will have their offices open to you all the time. And guess that will foster into when you graduate. Kick-ass job opportunities, hopefully at the same time. Also, the other one, if you are a go-getter, you're like, no, even that, in a great office, even your office, even whatever, I don't want to work for it, the middleman, if you still just can't get the financing to do that, is an independent contractor relationship. If you just find a really great practice in the place you want to be, with the location, with a good staff, a good setup, that sort of stuff, and you said, even if they may be doing a little bit different stuff, that's okay. You want to roll in and say, I'm the pediatric expert, I'm taking care of these kids, this is what I do, where you can latch onto that situation without having to do a big loan right up front, right, and get into a situation with that. So there's some, I don't know a ton about independent contractor relationships because I've never been in one on either side of the fence, but I do think it's it's adaptability, right? Kind of like most things in the United States, we kind of screwed that one up a little bit, right? So what do? It's like reactionary, right? They screwed it up. So instead of just fixing it, they just swung the pendulum all the way over, right? They gave loans to everybody. Now they're like, screw you, nobody gets loans, right? And that's like saying one kid got, one person got Ebola, so let's get Ebola vaccines to everybody, right? It's the same. It's just the concept that we work in. So I think that's a component. Look into the independent contract. By the way, I don't give short answers, so. Other questions? Somebody's got it. Fire away.
Switching gears a little bit. You mentioned you had your first daughter 2 weeks before you actually graduated.
I didn't mention that I recommended that though.
My question,
I'm
wondering, when do you think a good time is to have kids?
There you go, there you go. You know what? That is a little bit of a change of gear. Yes, no, I will tell you this. In all things, there is, what I think you should try, when I was talking about going for that 10 out of 10 and that certainty and kind of not measuring, let me bring it into this concept too. You should be excited if you never hit 10, meaning things are never quite perfect. The timing is never perfect, what you're doing is never quite perfect, because then you always have something to move forward to. If you're not moving forward in life, if you're not challenged in life, remember, when we talk about this whole stress thing in chiropractic, you got to really read Core's work. There's distress, yeah, that's the bad stress, and then there's eustress. I will tell you, and this is my personal opinion because it was fantastic for me. I liked having a little bit of fire beneath my feet, saying, you know what, you better do well because you have this little beautiful baby that you got to take care of. I will tell you that, and I will speak very honestly on this, because obviously that's the one thing I know that I know that I know. But I am busier, and I don't even, this word's accurate, but I don't want to use it like, oh, woe is me, and I don't like it, and I don't 100% accept it and go with it. My job's a hell of a lot harder now 7 years ago than when I opened my practice. Opening a business is a hell of a lot easier than sustaining a business. Again, read good to great. The majority of businesses fail, I think it's like 50% of businesses fail within 2 years. Within 5, and again, now I'm like the groom's day, Grim Reaper professor here now for you. But again, context of this. And within 5 years, I think it's something like 80% of businesses fail. So sustainability is a hell of a lot harder, it really is, than starting it up. When you start it up, you're kind of young and dumb. And you're just like, hey, I'll go, I got it, and I'll also tell you, when your babies, when they have a beautiful chiropractic baby, they sleep about 18 to 20 hours a day. So when we literally 7 years ago today, when our second day of practice, Christina would have been answering the phone with the nursing baby. I can picture the desk, the front desk with a towel underneath it on the carpet, or not a towel, but a baby blanket where the baby was sleeping. And I mean, we would, like, if Christina's in the back nursing and the phone rang and she'd like sprint up to answer the phone thinking it was a new patient, and if it was like somebody trying to sell, she'd go, God damn you, I had a nursing baby, you woke up today, you know? It was fun because it was challenging. You will find the more things you put into it to say, we should wait for this, we should wait for this, we should wait for this, there's a whole lot of thises in the world. They'll never go away. In fact, I think more of them will come. So I would really just say, you know what, if you got a great spouse, great relationship, and that's what you're really, really all about, you know, tomorrow's Friday night. Told you we can always chat more about that too. And by all means, you can reach out and talk to my wife about it too. She's the most kick-ass chiro ever.
My family's passion is NICU kids. And,
Yeah.
So you just totally lit up when you said that. Have you had access to, the NICU or kids in there? What kind of assessment and adjustment?
Uncle Tony.
That's a great question. Again, I don't give short answers because there always has to be context to this stuff. If anybody, and it's, again, it ain't about me, but if anybody I feel like can start beating down those doors, it's me, and even specifically related to Oliver and my son and what we did with that. But that ain't an easy door to beat down. What we are now trying to do, I'm a raging bull, and that has worked for me in a lot of things, and I also know that it's worked against me in a lot of things. And I feel like if I were to go too hot and heavy into that right now and try and force my way in, and then I'm going to tell you how I sneak my way in a second, force my way in, I think it would backfire, and it might be a long-term consequence of bad success against that. What our real goals are in a very Cliff Notes version of this with Epic Pediatrics is to build an entire freaking army that's kicking ass first. So we have this public perception, we have this authentic authority that starts to change, it starts to create this brand that literally doesn't even exist right now, but catches fire and does so right, and goes forward. The other beautiful thing, and I didn't mention it, related to the technology forum, okay, that's back there, but the technology, chiro touching that, we also have a really, even though my brain is not wired for research, I freaking love Dr. McCoy. He is so perfect for just bringing people to, he knows his focus, right? He's got clarity of focus. He knows exactly what he's talking about. Look, all of this is great, but there has to be this. And so going with that is we have very, very, very detailed plans that we are in the infancy. We've barely even reached conception yet of creating our pediatric army. We're almost at 500 doctors now. We hope to be over 1,000 within a year. And now we're all using the same technology. All of those scans upload to cloud-based technology. If we can get the majority of our doctors using ChiroTouch, using the same assessments, the same research. See, I have taken so much shit in the chiropractic profession because they're like, you see all these kids with autism, you've gone in the NICU, you've done these sort of things. Why don't you've never published a case study. As you probably haven't caught it from me tonight, I'm about a guy that if I'm going to step up to the tee and take a swing, I want to hit the ball as long and far as I possibly can, okay? I want to be ready for the most impact with that one swing. So what we've decided to do is rather than spending my time right now writing up case studies, is we're going to take a bigger noise. We're going to be able to reach across all of our pediatric offices. And a very important thing there that's different with pediatrics from all of the pediatric chain programs, we are all very, very, very similar. It's another issue with chiropractic research. You have 100 plus different techniques and protocols. What we did with pediatrics is we didn't say this is the only way to do it, but we said this is our brand, this is our protocol. I wrote something called the Pediatric Playbook, which literally says, again, not a cookbook, not allopathic, not like they have that symptom so they get that drug, not that, but close enough that we can actually do some legitimate research with. It's a long-winded way back to the answer to your question. I'm not going to try and beat down those doors until I got a hell of a lot bigger battering ram. Now, just this week, we had 2 of our twin babies born, a successful fertility. Actually, the mom came in for fertility. She had 2 older boys through IVF. She wanted to conceive naturally. She had heard about it. She came in. She got pregnant. She got pregnant with twins naturally. She got adjusted all the way through pregnancy. She went in. She had a freaking successful VBAC twins. Unbelievable, this woman. Last week. And the girls are in the NICU, and they're doing well because she did amazing in the pregnancy. They were a little bit early. They got to stay probably like a week or 2 in there. But one of them started to have a little bit of challenge on Tuesday with feeding, with difficulty nursing. So again, not seizures, not Oliver, not that sort of stuff. But she's passionate. I mean, she's in tears. It's tearing her up that we can't get in there and make adjustments like we could if they were in the regular hospital room. Well, luckily, the way she had a successful VBAC is we referred her 26 weeks into her pregnancy over to the OB that we work with who delivered all my kids, who totally, or at least gets pretty well what we do. We're still working on that. And I had a phone call into him today as I was driving to the airport. That's why I had to touch time to get home to Rocket Pam. And he goes, "Oh, son of a gun." He said a different word. But he said, "That makes sense to me. I have no idea how to get you in those doors." But he goes, "I can see that you need to be in there, so I'll get to work on it tomorrow." So literally, I'm being very honest with you, that's like first step. What have I done every other time? Uncle Tony. I mean, but again, I'm running out of Uncle Tony's with 3 hospitals in my area. Uncle Tony, those kids have darker hair than you do. And last week, you were Uncle Tony to a Polish family. And so literally, we've gone in a bunch. Literally, like, to be very specific to how you do it now, and so we're in, and so we actually can show that we deserve to be there, just literally like when they do what they call kangaroo time, when moms get to go in and hold them and nurse them. Of course, when they're nursing, they're going to be behind a curtain, so your immediate family member who wants to, I don't know why, we never quite say, "Oh, I want to be there while they're nursing," but because you're not dad, right? Because obviously they've met dad at that point, so you can't do that. But I guess here's what it comes down to. The more challenged that kid is, the more I'm kind of taking caution to the wind and getting my ass in there. But we need freaking ammo. We need research. We need money. We need more of us. We need more of you that cares, that wants to do that. That says, okay, this is where my target is sighted. Dr. Jen in my office, we need people to say, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that happen. And, take up that torch and make it rock. God, if we could be there. But when we're in the NICU, it's sustained contact, obviously the majority of the time. Actually, adjusting babies in the NICU, and this is, with Oliver is a big part of it, obviously in my memory. But the one cool thing about it being an analytical tech guy is they're usually hooked up to pulse ox and, heart rate and those sort of things. You can literally freaking see the power of innate as your hand literally coming through on freaking monitors. You'll literally see if they're, just see the heart rate fall down. You'll see if it's not a lot of them have pulmonary issues. That was Oliver's issue. I would literally see his pulse ox numbers just absolutely, and so did the nurses. they would just see them rise as I was working on him and putting that right stimulation into innate and getting that sucker working again. So it's kind of cool. It'd be an amazing thing for us to tap into with our science, but again, with our philosophy, right? Staying in there and going, we're not going in there to get rid of his seizures, we're going in there to give this kid the best freaking potential to cross the line of this hospital one day and actually live an epic life. That was it with Oliver. We wanted Oliver out of there alive, but we wanted Oliver out of there full of life, right? And I knew that they saved his life, but then what was left of it in the medical world wasn't ever going to change. That's all they had. And thank God they did that for him, because then I was able to tap in from there. But also when Oliver was in there, there was, when he moved to the second room after all the ECMO and everything, there's a pot of 8 other, babies in there, and it just killed me, as I work on him, knowing that the other 7, they were getting phenobarbital and they were getting Hep B shots, and, and most importantly, what they weren't getting, to adapt to that shit was adjustments, and that they were going to leave, no matter, most of them weren't even near as severe as Oliver, but I knew that their prognosis, their potential was, not even close to what his would be. So yeah, we could literally talk on this all night about the potential that comes with this, and it's different. It's completely louder and more impactful than the other forms of specialty and focus that you can do in pediatrics, and it doesn't make those wrong. That's not at all what I was trying to come here tonight and say about those. It's just, this is what this one is and what it brings to the table. Other questions about that? Yeah.
What's the name of the book that you said you're trying to give you that turned all the green lights on you?
Oh, it's Chestnut. So Dr. Chestnut has the CCWP, the certification, wellness certification program. It's Chestnut. We've got to get his slides and his information. He's an info man. So even his titles to his book are long. It's the 14 foundational premises to the vertebral subluxation complex. If you go to
They have 5 copies in the library.
They have everything in the library. Awesome. Chestnut's stuff. He knows the science inside of it. He's passionate dude about what he does. What's it? TheWellnessPractice.com. You can buy it too. TheWellnessPractice.com is the website. But on top of him, honestly, I would tell you that book is freaking awesome because it talks about the disapprobation model, and that's the science kind of keeping it in chiropractic, but trying to teach it in applicable, I would use the word almost kind of mechanical model, but that has a lot of value because how are we taught in school, right? Mechanical, segmental system. Then continue to infuse some green into that where you read Stevenson and you learn from Dr. Christopher Kent. Honestly, I think if you want to be obsessed with the science behind the subluxation, Dr. Kent's AST program, Advanced Subluxation Training, I'm sure if you just Google it, or on that's got to be on the web, subluxation.com. I'm sure if you start there, you can find that for Dr. Kent's program. Or is it part of On Purpose now?
That's on purpose.
Okay. Do you know the URL? Is that onpurpose.com? Okay. They probably have the On Purpose CDs down in the library too, don't they? That's another, you want another dress code thing? Listen to On Purpose is a monthly audio subscription. It's on CD, or you can get it on MP3 format now too, so you can put it right in your iPhone and do it that way. On Purpose is Dr. Kent and Dr. Gentempo. Dr. Kent is one of the greatest freaking blessings to this practice. And he teaches chiropractic subluxation science with a really, really, really good understanding of our philosophy too, because he's a philosophy diplomat. He's unique. My guys at Touch were Chestnut. Dan Murphy really does a lot with the disapprobation model, but then I think Dr. Kent is even more, got it all together. Somebody else, yeah.
Can you talk about for a second kind of how you find the balance between symptom-based care versus not too long? Because in the offset work that I'm working at is a big pediatric practice.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling with that.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk to level with a mom about some symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to do for me?
You know what? That's a fantastic question. That literally, the entire, what's that? The scans are a huge connector to that, without any shadow of doubt. Because well, again, there's the scans are the scans. They're a tool. Then there's how you apply and use the tool, right? How you communicate it, how you do it. Now, don't get me wrong. That whole communication slide, I dissect it. We're gonna circle back and we're gonna do this. I'm going to answer this, but I want to really tell you there's an answer in this in even full that we can do in that Skype session, and we certainly absolutely crush the answer to that question in Epic Pediatrics training program on that too. But where I'm going with that is we call it entering the conversation, or I like to refer to it as meeting them where they're at. Okay? the truth be told, I do not go anywhere in my community. I just saw the plane ride here today. The other thing, I added that last kind of dress code slide in here, and I wrote an article. One thing that's absolutely been crushing it in our practice for marketing is there's a local McHenry County Living magazine, which is read by certain socioeconomic moms, probably now, it's right where we go. I've written an article about ADHD in the perfect storm and autism in the perfect storm. And again, bridging the gap, meeting them where they're at, as all this phrase goes. It wasn't, at the end of it, it wasn't come in, you get a $19.99, $19 scan for this thing. It was, the close from the article was come to the workshop. Because I built my practice not on screenings, I built my workshop on my practice on workshops. But where this all wraps together specifically to that is, it would be 100% useless for me to write that article all about subluxation in the spine. It really would. Nobody would comment off of that. Nobody would. If I said at the end of that article, come to an hour workshop to learn more about the spine, the nervous system, and subluxation. It's just I don't wish it was this way. But people don't give a damn about their spine. They don't know anything about their nervous system. They know about symptoms. The allopathic mindset has dominated. It's what they're. I think we use the radio analogy. They're kids with the parent whose kid has sensory processing disorder. They are constantly changing their radio station, listening for anybody saying anything about sensory processing disorder. A kid with autism is constantly changing their radio station, looking for anybody saying about autism. So here's where I'm going with this in very short form. So I have no issues if you tap into that radio station and you say, I know a lot about autism, ADHD, sensory processing disorder, ear infections, that sort of stuff, and you present it in the context of, let's talk about this, and let's explore the cause of this. All of my articles, everything I ever write and talk about, the Perfect Storm is all about the cause behind it. Because then there's a simple equation that says, if we can understand the cause, if we can then see it come alive on a scan, then what our goal to do is to actually get rid of the cause, subluxation, one cause, one cure, Marge, another amazing book, is to get rid of the incoordination, the subluxation, the interference, two things working the way they're supposed to. So then, your kid gets over here to where things are working the way they're supposed to. So mom and dad, when your kid gets over here and that these scans are clear, that nervous system and that brain is working the way it's supposed to, do you think any of that stuff is going to be left over? And they'll go, no, probably not. And you can go, no, probably not. That's not our goal. That isn't how we're going to measure success, whether sensory processing disorder is gone 90 days from now or not. We're going to measure success whether the subluxation, the interference, and the interference with your kid experiencing optimal potential is gone. But I'll tell you, 90% plus of the time, guess what's gone? The stuff that they wanted to get rid of. And I think it's, but can you, again, in this meeting, what I'm saying is, these people are all the way over here. I call they're in the mud. They've got kids who are struggling. They know those words. They know those terms. They want out of this, right? So they want somebody to come in here, put their arm around their shoulder, grab their hand, grab their arm. Well, this is how we market. We go into the mud just enough to grab their hand, grab their arm, and start to bring them along the path. But what I don't do is two things. Stand all the way over there, say, I don't treat symptoms, I'm about subluxation, I don't know spine, I don't get too proud, right? I don't get too hate straight. I don't get too far into this so that they never tune into my station because I'm not doing anybody any good over here, okay? And the other thing I don't do is I don't go over there, yell at them, scare them, fear them, or pick them up and try and throw them over the freaking curb, right? You gotta literally, your communication, your education, your interpretation is a step-by-step. If you know they're beginning in the allopathic model, they all. You gotta go in there and get them out of that, and you got to get them over onto your bus. So it's a tricky thing, and that's what we built up the Pediatric on, is that your communication is enough that they tap into it and listen to your radio station, but you never lose your foundation, you never become incongruent, you never become treatment-based, so that when they get over here, and I will tell you, I've gotten better, it's a little bit of this is just learned from experience too. I was a little bit too much of that in the beginning, absolutely. In the last 2 years since working with Jackson Kocha and Epic, again, teacher learns the most, and with all of our doctors, my retention, my PVA, which isn't necessarily patient visit average, which isn't necessarily the perfect stat, my retention has quadrupled in the last year. I have a PVA, I'm 7 years into practice, and I see a lot of kids, and again, if you don't know what that means, this won't make a lot of sense to you, but it's how, if a new patient comes in, how long do they stay? How many visits do they stay with you? My PVA is in the triple digits, 7 years into practice, and I see a lot of kids where their care plans, babies, wellness kits, are 12 visits over a month, and then they're into wellness, which is weekly in our office, even for babies. They get checked. Doesn't mean they're getting adjusted, but they're getting checked. So what I'm saying is in pediatric practice, it's actually harder to build a big PVA versus if you have stage 4 degeneration back pain Bobby, where you're going to hammer on that 3 times a week for 6 months just to, you know, I don't know what you do in that world, but I don't know where you're going with that. But the answer to that board question for me, if somebody comes in like this, I'm like, lock the damn door. Do you see them coming up the sidewalk? Refer out. I literally get a fruit basket from another guy.
How often do you scan kids?
Every 12. Every 12. Infants 6. The thermal scan we do every 6 visits. If it's a more involved case, even with an infant, like super severe colic and reflux, that sort of stuff, it'll still be 12. But 12 is clockwork. That's why I love ChiroTouch. My previous doctor, I don't know how hard it would have been in the schedule to be like, every 12 times they check in, pop up a box that says, scan them. I'm not a freaking computer engineer, but I mean, a lot of other shit happens that way. And I could never get that software to do it. So ChiroTouch, it's clockwork. And remember, ChiroTouch integrates with CLA. ChiroTouch integrates with Cash Practice. That's right, Cash Practice. You want to go cash, use Miles' assistant, cashpractice.com. Literally all of my payments, every morning, you want to live a happy life? Every morning I wake up and I get a report, an email from cashpractice.com telling me how much money is going into my bank account, okay? I literally have now my lifetime, I have so many lifetime wellness patients who are under, that's what we really want for people, right? Living life in optimal potential, not to treat their symptoms and they go away. I have so many patients on lifetime wellness care that those auto debits, we run they pay monthly for that, depending on individual family size and sort of stuff. That covers my overhead. So any new patients that come, and in fact it's almost now a little bit more this last month, so that anybody that comes into my practice on top of that, all of the new patients that we see, the majority of our new patients, over 95% of them prepay for their restoration plan in the beginning. All of that is profit to my practice. So what's really cool about that, circling that to Epic Life, let's say you want to go, I'm going to take my 4 kids and take the month off, and we don't want to really work as hard this month and see as many new patients, so we're going to call in the marketing, because it's summertime and we want to spend a little bit more time at the beach. You can still get by the practice. The practice who's at Costco every single weekend, you know why they're at Costco every single weekend? Because they know their back door is more wide open than their front door. They have a PDA of like, they may have 80 new patients a month, and they stay around for 8 visits. I can't remember whether that's upstream or downstream, but it ain't good. Somebody else had one more, I don't know what, no? All right, guys. Thank you guys. 10 tomorrow? 10? Is it 10 tomorrow or 9?
10.
10! Good!
Starts at 9.
You're on like Central Time?
Yeah, I am. I'm sorry. I'm used to going to the West Coast. I never come east. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Come often.
Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you, Parker, for tuning in, Sherman, and Bridgeport. Yep. Have a good night.